Alright, can you tell Mei to not poke in the eyes?
Look over here. Hi guys, I'm Jeremy, and today I'll talk about a ski trip I did to Taiziling, which is a small ski resort a few hours from Chengdu in the middle of China. So although the mountains out here are huge, I mean in Sichuan province you have mountains that go up to like 7,500 meters, like the highest is called Mount Ganga, and which is about 25,000 feet. But for whatever reason in China, they haven't really developed the tourism here for skiing and snowboarding yet. So most of the resorts and stuff are actually really small. So if you're in Chengdu, this is probably the best one you could go to. It's only got a couple runs, but it's pretty decent. You know, if you want to get out from Chengdu, the weather up there in the winter is pretty decent, and it could be worth checking out. So I'll just kind of tell you how our trip went. So the first thing I had to do is arrange a hotel, which is never easy. I had to contact a bunch of different hotels, and I finally found one that could accommodate, you know, a decent amount of guests, because there was at least 16 or 17 of us, and also could take foreigners. So I knew one guy, but he didn't have enough rooms, and then I contacted one, and they said they couldn't take foreigners. So finally there was only one hotel left on the mountain that could take us. So at least that part was settled. The room itself is like, all of the hotels up there pretty much are pretty mediocre. They should only be about $20 on off season, but they could charge twice as much during like holiday times like this. So we ended up spending almost $50 for these like pretty basic rooms, but whatever, that's just how things go sometimes. We headed out of town. There was about 15 of us on the bus, and like I said, it's about 4 hours, and you've got your first checkpoint about 2 hours from Chengdu in Dujiangyan. And that wasn't too bad. You know, they came on, they checked things, and got our photos maybe of our passports and different things. And then about an hour after that, you have another one. So yeah, it's not easy traveling in these areas because they're Tibetan areas. So this one's called Aba. In Sichuan, there's two areas. There's Ganza and Aba. So we were up in Aba. And this area is always kind of hit or miss. You might have to get a COVID test before, you might not have to. I have some friends trying to go there this weekend, and they're not allowed to take, well, they're not allowed to take buses, I guess. So they have to so it's like a tour group, and now they have to like individually drive or something. So it's always a big hassle to do stuff like this. So we luckily got through the 2 checkpoints okay, and made it up to the hotel. And actually it's funny there too, because she didn't really end up checking it. Now the police had already gotten all the pictures of our passports and everything like that, and I guess I was like, oh, well, maybe she doesn't need it because they have it. And then of course, you know, after we left the next day, she was sending me all these text messages like she wanted all of our passports and all of this info. So anyway, I was just like, you can ask the police. You know, I mean, we're not doing this all over again, right? This trip, we figured, since it's so far away, we didn't want to do just a one-day trip. So I was like, let's just leave at like 1:30 on Saturday. We'll go up there for dinner, we'll have a barbecue, and then we'll ski all Sunday and come back Sunday night. You know, so we got there at around 6 o'clock or so or whatever, and I brought a keg even, and we set up a barbecue. I had a really nice meal and a few beers, and the local food there, we had to buy some food because, you know, they didn't want to give us tables unless, you know, we ordered some food from them, right? And so we had a couple of their local things too on top of that. And so it was a good dinner, and then in the morning we headed out, you know, at about 8:30 or 9, about another half hour to get back in, and there they had to check our IDs and everything again, and make sure everything was okay. And actually, I don't even think they ever technically checked our COVID tests anyways. But anyway, we got into the ski resort, and you know, it's got a little different setup, because I think usually in most Western countries like the States or something like that, a lot of the people have their own equipment. So, you know, you just buy the ski lift, and, you know, you put your ski lift like on your jacket here, and, you know, so they could see it. At least that's how it was a while ago. I haven't gone too much lately. And here, the price includes the ski equipment. So there's not a way to separate that. Even if you bring your own equipment, it's still gonna be like 288 renminbi, I think, which is about $50 almost. So you know, you pay, you have to also put down a deposit, and you can get like insurance for, I think, only like 10 or 20 renminbi, like $3 or something. I mean, it seems worth it for something cheap. And then Yeah, you go through like a bunch of different areas to pick up the different things, right? And so I grab like the poles, the skis, and the boots, and then you get a locker. And I hit the slopes. And the first part is like the, there's a couple like bunny hills basically, and you get on this thing, and it's slow. Like everything there is definitely not like up to date and really fast, like a lot of, places like in Europe or the States or whatever. So it takes a while just to even get up to the regular chairlift that would take you up. And I'm about to get on, and I hear him shut off the machine, and I'm like, he's like, you don't have a, and he's like, because I didn't have the helmet. And so I had to go all the way back down and go through the whole room and get the helmet. So remember that you do have to have the helmet to get on the chairlift. Otherwise, you'll waste all the time. It took a half hour to go down and back up. So anyway, the slope, there's only, 2 or 3 different ways down the mountain. The shortest way down is probably couldn't be much more than a kilometer. And the other way is maybe 1.5 kilometers, if that. I'm not even sure if it's that long. So it's about 10 minutes up. The chairlift's really slow, 10 or 12 minutes to the top. And then you could get down in, like 5-7 minutes or something like that. But it's still a good place for beginners. Most of the people who went with me had never skied or snowboarded before. So it was kind of good for them to start. And then some of us who have skied a bunch of times, like it's still okay. Like, it's better than nothing. And, in Chengdu in the winter, like a lot of cities, it gets really polluted. And so if you're out into these mountains, which, all these areas, these mountains are all, we're up at, I don't know, almost 3,000 meters high or 2,500. And so usually, for the most part, get clear skies in the winter. So you just have awesome scenery, nice clean air, and the sun's out. So just to get out and out of the city's nice in the winter, because it's so gray here and cold. Like a lot of people get really lethargic and they don't get out or do much. So it's kind of cool to actually get out. So I rented the bus because I have like a tour company, and I already arranged for us to do that. But you could also join other Chinese tour companies or whatever, which will meet in the city, take you out for the day and back the same day. Like you meet at maybe 7 a.m. and come back at like 8 or 9 at night. And I think that's, you have to pay for the ticket for the park, which I said was almost $50, and maybe it's like another $20 for the ride or whatever. If you drive on your own, that's fine too. Like I said, it takes about 4 hours there. You go down the main highway, you get off, and then you've got like a steep uphill. I haven't really seen, you don't need chains for your tires to get into the, where you ski basically. But around that point usually is where there is snow. So you might have to be careful in some circumstances. So yeah, we skied until about 4 or 5 o'clock, and we headed back. Everyone had a good time. The only other things that are kind of annoying is like when you go to get on the chairlift, they put like, you have a bracelet basically, and you have to scan the bracelet to like open up the door to let you through. And so everyone gets kind of stuck there because of course you have gloves on and jackets, and it's not able to read that easily. And so it's kind of it makes it even slower, because the chairlift itself is like, half the speed of most of the places I've gone. And so that's the only other thing too, is it's quite slow in that regard. But, I got like 7 or 8 runs. It was good enough. And we got back to town. We stopped and got food on the way, and we got back to town around 9 or 10. And, everyone had a good time. I think it's worth it, especially if you're a beginner. They do have coaches and stuff if you need to get some instructions. I'm not sure if they had an English coach to help you out with that. But a lot of this stuff is just trial and error too. I mean, you get out your first few times, you're just gonna fall on your ass all the time, the whole day, really, to be honest. So anyway, if you're out in Chengdu and you wanna go skiing, I'd recommend Taiziling. I could send a link below for like the website or something. There's a couple other places around like Xiling Shuishan, which is closer to Chengdu. That's only about 2 hours away, but that's even smaller. That's almost only a bunny hill in my opinion. At least this other one was at least about 1 kilometer almost long. And there's 1 or 2 other ones that are pretty small. And I don't think there's too much even in Yunnan or other places in West China. Like I said, that one in Xinjiang in the Altai region, which is really scenic, by the way. If you go there in the summer or anything like that, that's a really nice spot. That's probably the best in China. That's even what a Chinese guy in the chairlift told me. He goes skiing up every weekend in Taiziling. And he said that that's the best spot to go. The one up near Harbin in the northeast near Russia is okay. My buddy was just there too, and it was like -30 or something, real cold, but it looked like it was at least bigger. So you can investigate a bit if you're out here in the winter. You know, I'd check it out. I think it's open from, you know, later December and into February or so. And actually, you can also go to, this area is also good, by the way, for hiking and backpacking and camping and stuff. The route behind the ski resort I've done a couple times. You could hike up there to like this big open area with these like, you know, if you go there in like summer or like in spring when there's all these like little yellow flowers, it's like a beautiful open pasture and super nice views around. Whether you do it in summer or you can even go up there in winter. I've hiked up there in winter too and gotten some nice views. And you can even go all the way up to the peak there, which goes up to about, I think almost 5,000 meters. So that's something to consider. The only bad thing, if you do camp up at that hike, that's a huge, that is a kind of a huge tourist site now. So they already have all the tents set up, which is convenient. It's only about, you know, 3 hours to hike up there. But there's like, you know, a couple hundred other Chinese people up there, which, you know, I've no offense against any group or anything, but the way that they camp is that they want to get up early and see the sunrise, which is fine, but they're not quiet when they do it. And so it's like 4 a.m., people screaming at the top of their lungs. And so if you were trying to sleep or you didn't want to get sunrise, like you're going to be awake anyway, you might want to just go up then. Or you could camp away from them. Like you could go up a little further to a lake, actually, if you want to hike like maybe another hour. And that's pretty good, but that's also closer to 4,000 meters. So if you're going in like within one day, you might get altitude sickness, where that other camping area might be more like 3,500, which is a little bit better. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, let me know. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.